Welcome to the Parent Education series on COVID-19. The topic for this module is a post-COVID complication that we are seeing in children called multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children. I am Dr. Chandrika Bhatt, Consultant Pediatric Rheumatology Services at Rainbow Children's Hospital, Marathalli. Now this complication is usually seen in children who have either had the infection or an exposure to someone infected with COVID-19 in the preceding 4 weeks. Most of the children with this condition test positive for antibodies to COVID rather than the virus. So this is not a contagious disease and cannot spread from one child to the other. Now why does this happen? So what we have observed is children are very good at protecting themselves from developing acute severe COVID-19 infection. So they do very well in the initial stages when they acquire the infection because their immune system is quite robust in fighting against this virus. However, even after a couple of weeks, in some children, this immune system does not quieten down and continues to be active. In the process, it ends up fighting against organs of their own body, resulting in inflammation in various parts of the body. So the symptoms these children present with depend upon the organ system that is inflamed in them. However, the most common symptom that we see in these children is fever, and fever can last anywhere between 1 day to 10 days. Along with fever, associated symptoms such as redness of the eyes, redness of the skin, redness of the lips, and red tongue, which we classically call the strawberry tongue, can be seen. Some children develop inflammation of their intestines, so they develop vomiting, abdominal pain, loose motions. Some children develop inflammation of the heart, and that is one of the most dreaded complications of this condition. When this happens, they can present with a gradual or sudden reduction in their blood pressure, resulting in a condition called shock. Some of them, the liver can be inflamed. In a few children, the kidneys can be inflamed. In fact, we are also seeing children coming with inflammation of the brain, resulting in fits. Some of them lose their consciousness, they become very dull, very lethargic. So essentially, this condition can result in inflammation in any part of the body. Now, when should you think of this condition in your child? If your child has had a history of COVID-19 or has come in contact with someone who's had COVID-19, and after the point of exposure or symptom onset, 2 weeks after that, if they develop fever again and any of the symptoms that I just mentioned, please do think of this condition. Now this can occur anytime between 2 weeks to around 3 months between exposure and onset of multisystem inflammatory syndrome. When a child comes to the hospital with this condition, we run a few blood tests. In some cases, we also do an ultrasound scan of the abdomen. We may get a chest x-ray or an echocardiogram to look at the heart function. Now, as much as it is important to diagnose MIS-C in time, we also have to rule out other conditions that can mimic this disease. A lot of infections that we commonly see, such as dengue fever, typhoid, rickettsial disease, can mimic MIS-C. Even urinary tract infections in children, if they are severe, can also result in similar symptoms. So most of the tests that we do, apart from confirming the diagnosis of MIS-C, are also to rule out conditions that can mimic this disease. Now once we confirm that a child has MIS-C, there are different spectrums of presentation. Some children may just have mild disease wherein they have fever, subtle symptoms of the disease, and they are otherwise very well. There is no internal organ inflammation as such. And some children obviously present towards the severe end of the spectrum with shock, needing critical care support. Now, if a child has only mild disease, we tend to wait and watch. In some of them, the disease resolves on its own without us giving any medication. However, if a child has moderate to severe disease, we do intervene and give medicines to calm the immune system so that it does not keep fighting against their body. Now, the medicines that we commonly use belong to a group of drugs called immunomodulatory drugs. So what they essentially do is calm the immune system down to normal levels so that it stops fighting against the body. The commonly used medications are immunoglobulin and corticosteroids. These are used at very controlled doses depending upon the child's body weight. and most of the children seem to respond to this combination of treatment. Although around 5% of these children may require additional drugs in case they don't respond to these first line agents, and that is where we use another group of drug called biologics. Now it's very important to treat this disease in time, because children, especially over the age of 5, can deteriorate very rapidly, requiring severe intensive care support for respiration, drugs to maintain their blood pressure, so on and so forth. So the key here is the time at which we recognize and intervene to stop the inflammatory process. So at our own hospital, in the first wave we had around 50 children with MIS-C, and in the second wave we've already seen around 40 children with this disease. Most of the children have responded beautifully to immunoglobulin or corticosteroids. We had 3 children with very severe disease presentation with persistent low blood pressure. They needed a lot of medications to just bring their blood pressure up, and alongside that we had to give them an imported drug called anakinra, to which they responded very well. So overall, all our children have recovered. There have been no deaths, fortunately, and even on follow-up all of them are doing very well. So I would just like to reinforce to parents that please watch out for this condition. If your child seems to have any of the symptoms that I just mentioned, please visit your nearest hospital, meet your pediatrician at the earliest.